Hello everyone. This video is a sequel to how to check your guitar for neck relief prior to tuning. If you haven't watched that video yet, you can watch it first by clicking this link. That video discusses about the condition to which the neck of a guitar is in. It discusses about relieving the neck of a guitar from being bowed or humped. So it discusses what a bowed neck is and what a hump neck is. So go back and click the link shown earlier in this video to watch that video if you think that you have to watch it first. But if you decide to watch it later, a link to that video is also provided at the end of this video as one of the end screens. That video is in turn a sequel to a video that I have made in the past, which is how to string an electric guitar modeled to a Fender Stratocaster or Strat. And the link to that video is given in this card. So click this card now if you want to watch it first. But if you want to watch it later, a link is also provided at the end of this video as one of the end screens. Now let's discuss about string action. A Strat or Stratocaster has a saddle for each string of the guitar, and these are the saddles, these ones. There are a saddle for each string. We have 6 strings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so we have 6 saddles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As you can see, each of these string sits on its saddle. This one is here, this one is on this saddle, this one here, this one here, and this one here, and this one here. Having individual saddle for each string allows the guitarist to set each string at a particular distance from the fretboard. The fretboard is this part of the guitar, where you have the fret wires. So it starts from this part of the neck, beginning from the nut up to this point where it joins the body of the guitar. So this whole thing is the fretboard. The distance of a string from the fretboard is what we call string action. So if you look closer, this string is set at that distance from the fretboard or the fret wire. So I have to bring it down or press the string down. When it makes contact to this wire or the fret wire, that's when it starts to produce a sound at this fret. How far I press it down or how far the distance I have to cover so that the string touches the fret wire, that's the string action. The distance of the string from the fretboard, or actually the distance of the string to the fret wire, the distance of the string to the fret wire is the string action. So if the distance is too high, that is what we call, like if the distance is this much, that action is a high action. But if the distance is low enough so that you don't have to press so hard or you don't have to bring it down very low, the action is low. So we have to set the action of a string. Now what is the best action? The best action is not too high that it gives you difficult time to press the string against the fret wire, but not too low to produce buzzes or buzz sounds. By the way, if you are not very familiar to the parts of a guitar, this card shown on the screen right now provides the link to parts of acoustic guitar, lesson 101-1. So I suggest that you give time to watch that video so you'd be familiar to parts of the guitar. Right now, the action of the first string of the guitar is this much. Like what I said earlier, you can set the action of a string because each string has its own saddle. And if you look closely, each saddle, this is the saddle for the first string or high E string. This saddle has two legs, this one and this one. The legs are in the form of screws. So you need a tool to be able to set the height of a saddle for a particular string. So let's consider the saddle of the first string. Because the legs are actually screws, you can lower or raise the height of the saddle. Each leg or screw leg has a hex screw at the top, which you can adjust by using a special tool like this. This is what we call a hex key, hexagonal key. The cross section of this tool is hexagonal. So to show you here, if I turn counterclockwise, you can see the saddle starts to lean to the left. Now if I turn the other leg by turning it counterclockwise, so the saddle appears to be level. Actually, if you notice, this saddle is now lower compared to the saddle. And also, you would notice that the action of the string, the distance of the string from the fretboard is really low now at this time. That's very low, right? That's low already. So that's how you adjust the saddle of its string. So let's adjust also the saddle of the second string. Let's bring it low. So we'll have to turn both legs counterclockwise. There, both legs have been adjusted so that the saddle is at low height. There. See, both saddles, the saddle for the first and second strings are both lower compared to the other saddles. Let's bring also the other saddles low. This one. Now we're on to the saddle for the fourth string. Now the saddle for the fifth string. And finally the saddle for the sixth string or the low E. Now you'd notice all the saddles are lower in position compared to earlier. And if you look at the strings, the actions of the strings are very low. They are actually now, they're almost touching the fret wire. See this string? This string is a little high. This string is still above this fret wire, but this string is already touching this fret wire. And this one is above or higher than the fret wire, but this one is almost touching the fret wire, and this one is just a short distance from the fret wire, and this one still away from the fret wire. You can still bring this down if you want. So let's lower this saddle even more by turning it counterclockwise. It's that low already. Okay. So that's how you set the action for each string by adjusting the legs of the saddle. If you turn both legs counterclockwise, you are bringing the string closer to the fret wire. So you're making the action lower. But if you turn the legs on a clockwise direction, then you are raising the strings, and that is making the action of the string high. But that's what we're going to do. I'm going to raise the string high enough so that I would be able to play notes cleanly, because if the action is too low, that will produce buzzing sounds. Look, if the string is this low, if you press the string right here, this string is not just touching this fret wire, but it's also touching this wire and this wire. So instead of making a sound right here, right at this fret, it's also producing a sound right here and here. And that produces buzzing sound. So I have to raise the string high enough so that when I press it at a particular fret like this one, this string won't be touching the other frets. And we'll do the same for the other strings. Okay, I'll begin setting the action of the strings, starting with the first or high E string, with this string. Right now, as you can see, it's very low. The string is almost touching every fret wire. So I'm gonna raise it a little higher, maybe this much. So to raise it, we have to raise its saddle. And to raise its saddle, we have to turn its legs, both legs. So we have to turn it with the same number of turns as much as possible so that the saddle would be level. It's not leaning to the left or to the right. So to raise the saddle, we have to turn these legs to clockwise direction. Okay, now that the saddle starts to lean to this side, we'll move to the other leg and turn to clockwise direction so that it raises that side. Now it seems the saddle is level or horizontal. It looks level to me. Yeah, this one. Okay, now let's check the action of the string. So it went up. This string is not touching the fret wires anymore, as you can see. There's a clearance, or there's an action between the first string and the fretboard. One thing to do to make sure that the string is not too low when it comes to action, you'll have to play a note at every fret and make sure that it doesn't produce any buzzing sound. I still find it too low because when I press this string right here, it's still touching this fret wire. So this action is too low. That means I need to raise the saddle higher. Okay, now let's check the string one more time. The tone is still clear. Still clear. I think this is good. I think this action is good. When we get to the tuning part, this string will rise a bit more because that string will become tighter when you tune it. So I'll just leave it this one for now. I think this is okay. Okay, so let's check one more time the action of the first string before I proceed to setting the action of the second string. And I will do that by checking the tone at every fret. Okay, good. It didn't buzz at all, so each time I played a note at every fret, the tone is clear. So it seems that the action of this string right now is just good enough. It's a low, but not too low that it produces buzzing sound. It didn't produce any buzz sound at all, but the action is still considered low. So now starting from this one, with this action for the first string, I will set this as my reference for setting the action of the second string. And how to do that, let me explain or let me discuss something. If you look at the fretboard, the fretboard is actually slightly curved. I mean, the surface of the fretboard is actually like this. Curved. It's curved like this. It's not really flat like this, but it's curved, this one, right? So the surface of the fretboard is slightly curved. There is a curvature. So that means if we have all the strings at the same level, or if all the strings are perfectly horizontal to one another, then with the curvature of the fretboard, it will seem like the end strings, the first and the sixth string, will have a higher distance compared to the inner strings, because when the surface is curved, so imagine this is the fretboard, the surface of the fretboard, and it's curved. There's a slight curvature. And imagine this pen as a string, and there will be six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The string near the edge of the fretboard will have a higher action compared to the string that is in the middle if we set all the strings level. So what I'm going to do is I will not set all the strings in a level or horizontal position, but I'll have the string to follow the curvature of the fretboard so that I'd be able to maintain the same action for all the strings. So what I'm saying is, if all the strings are horizontal, perfectly they are in the same horizontal plane. Now imagine this. If all the strings are in the same horizontal plane, now this string will have a higher action compared to these strings in the middle. Likewise, this string will have a higher action compared to the strings in the middle, because the fretboard has a curvature, so these two strings will be at a closer distance to the fretboard compared to these strings. So what I'm going to do is I will set the action of the strings based on the curvature. So I will not set the strings to fall in the same horizontal plane, but I will have each string to somehow follow the curvature. That means at the end of this demonstration, the string will end up something like this. So if that's the case, then each of these strings will have almost the same distance from the fretboard, approximately, but not equally the same. But that's a lot better than having the strings in horizontal position, because if the strings are all in the same horizontal plane, then these two strings will have higher action compared to these two. And if you lower down these two, then these two strings will be too close to the fretboard, so that it might produce buzzing sounds when you play these strings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the same distance on every strings, and that will be accomplished by setting the height of the saddles, or setting the top of the saddles to follow the curvature of the fretboard. So that means I will end up with the saddles not in the same horizontal plane, but it goes like this. This one goes higher than this one, and this one is higher than this one, but these two will be at the same level, and then this one will be lower than this one, and then this one will be lower than this one. So you'll see what I'm going to do. In order to follow the curvature of the fretboard, I will have the saddle of the second string about a millimeter higher than the saddle of the first string. So I'm gonna turn both legs of the saddle of the second string clockwise so that it goes about a millimeter higher than the saddle of the first string. Okay, now that they are almost at the same height, I'm gonna turn it some more so that it goes higher than the saddle of the first string by about 1 millimeter. Okay, now it's clear that the saddle of the second string is higher than the first string by like a millimeter, but I need to turn this a little more so that both legs would be at the same height there, because earlier it was leaning more to the right. Okay, now you can see this string is higher than the first string. You can feel it, you can see it. If I put this card underneath the strings, this card is already touching the first string, but this one is still higher than the card. Look at here one more time. The first string is already touching the card, but the second string is off the card. So this shows that the second string is a little higher than the first string, or what I'm saying is that the action of the second string is a little higher than the action of the first string. That happens because the saddle of the second string is higher than the saddle of the first string, as you can see here. Saddle of the second string is higher than the saddle of the first string. So now I have set the action of the second string. What I'm gonna do next is to set the action of the third string, this one. And to be able to follow the curvature of the fretboard, I'm gonna raise the saddle of the third string by like a millimeter higher than the saddle of the second string. So again, I'm gonna turn both legs to clockwise direction. Okay, so it's now leaning to this side, so that means I have to turn this also to make the saddle level. Now that the saddle is level but it's still lower than the second saddle, I still have to turn it some more so that it goes higher than the second. Okay, it seems that this is how far the saddle can go. Okay, so that means I can only raise this saddle this high. Now in that case, I need to lower this and to lower this. So lower this a bit by turning it to counterclockwise direction. There, maybe I'll have to lower this a bit. What I'm trying to accomplish here is that I want these three saddles to be at a descending level. I don't want them to be at the same horizontal plane. I want this to be higher and this saddle lower than this one and this saddle lower than this one, which is what I have right now. It's very clear that this saddle is higher than this saddle and this saddle is higher than this saddle. And to complete the work, I will have the saddle with fourth string at the same height as the saddle of the third string. So I will raise this saddle to the same level as the saddle of the third string. So I'll turn the screw legs to clockwise direction. Okay, now it's like they are the same height already. I think a few more turns. Okay, it seems that these two now are at the same level, are the same height, and that this is evident on the strings. These two is like at the same height, or these two is like they have the same action. This one is the top of this one is lower than the top of this, and the top of the first string is lower than the top of the second string. So to continue, I think I can still raise this saddle a little more. Okay, there. Now to continue, I'll have this saddle, the saddle for the fifth string, lower than the saddle of the fourth string. So I need to raise this saddle by turning the screw leg to clockwise direction until the saddle of the fifth string is level but lower than this. I think I can still raise this a little more. There. There. Now you can see that the height of the saddle is like following the curvature of the fretboard. So the height of the saddle is, they are not in a horizontal plane, but they are in a curvature, something like this. But we're not done yet. I can feel that these two, by just touching the two saddles, this is lower than this one, because I can feel that this one is higher than this one. And for the sixth string, we'll have to raise it, but lower than the fifth string. Okay, looking at the saddle, it's clear to see that this is ascending and then it descends here, right? So the top of the saddles follow a curvature, right? Okay, so looking at the strings, they're still loose because they are not in tune, but I think that's it for now. So I've set the action of the strings by adjusting the height of their saddles, and then one thing that will tell me if the action is correct or good enough is when I tune the strings. If after the tuning of the strings the actions are not too low or too high, then I've set the actions of the strings properly. So now the next is tuning the strings. Don't forget to click the like and the subscribe buttons.